Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and this is part 2 to my list of books that I want to read this summer. And unfortunately, I have so many books that this turned into a 2-part video. Hopefully, it will stay at 2 parts. So let's begin, shall we? Okay, so the next book I want that is on there is The Assassin's Apprentice, which might be one of the books another book that I might read for Tome Topple. I don't know, I might not be able to. This one won't count because it's not even close to. It's only like 435, and I just rewatched Sam's video on her Tome Topple announcement, and she did say, not that she'll police me or anything, but she did say that she feels like if you go under 475, then you're kind of missing the point of Tome Topple. So I don't think, actually, now that I think about it, I won't be able to read this one. I do need to read it, but it is on my list of some books I want to read this summer. Because, again, this is the same friend who bought me this was the same friend who bought me Mistborn as well, so I don't want to make the same mistake twice. And Sam from Sam's Nonsense, and recently Jen from Insert Literary Pun talked about Robert Hollow quite a bit, and she has quite a following. So I want to get into this because I want to read more adult fantasy. I mean, like, I read the Dragonlance books, and I really enjoyed those. So, I mean, that was before I was noticing. That was like way before I was paying attention to the number of pages each of my books have. So, I mean, it still would take me a long time to read those size books, but I didn't really pay attention to that. So, I also want to start reading this one, Ember in the Ashes, especially now that I got book 2, A Torch Against the Night. So now I can read this one, because I was kind of waiting before I started reading book 2, the first book. I want to get the second book, and then at some point I'll buy the third book. But I don't want to wait too long, because then you forget things, and so I do want to read this summer. So. And I heard a lot of good things about it, so, I mean, actually the reason why I bought that at first was because I thought that was going to be the one that was made into a movie, but then I realized I kind of got that mixed up with, I don't even know the title of the book that's going to be made into a movie, but, kind of similar, really long title, so, and I also want to read this one. This is one that Reagan from Peruse Projects has talked about. So I finally bought it at the used bookstore, hence the shiny plastic cover. So I want to read it. I want to read this one. It kind of, by the description, it makes me think of the show Supernatural, but if it was about the British men of letters instead of the American men of instead of, Sam and Dean Winchester. So I want to read this one. I do want to read this one this summer. Next this was another one of the ones I just remember looking through my shelves and picking out the ones I put on my list. I was like, oh my god, I remember this is another one I wanted to read, and that is Neil Gaiman's American Gods. This was one of those ones that I actually did start reading, but then the bookmark fell out, and I figured, you know what, I hadn't got that far in the book anyway, so I'll just start over with it. But I think this is a special edition version, like an anniversary edition. But it's kind of like, it's kind of like, the new gods versus the old gods kind of thing. It's the 10th anniversary edition, and I think what I read in the little note on the text is that it's kind of an introduction kind of thing, that this edition has some of the things that got taken out of the first published edition of this book. So I want to read this summer as well. Some of these I probably won't get to this summer because there's only like 2 months left in the summer, and I'm going to, at the end of July is convention time for me, SuperCon at the end of July. And of course, I'm not going to do a lot of reading when I'm at SuperCon. So this is one of the ones that I think I'm definitely going to read for Tome Topple. Because I want to get into Kenfall. I have like the Century Trilogy, the whole trilogy, and the first 2 books in the Kingsbridge Chronicles. Column of Fire just came out. I don't know if he's going to write any more books or if that's also going to be a trilogy. Funny thing is, though, I think this plot is something I would be more interested in than the other one, but I do want to read the other one, but I want to read this one first, so I think I'm going to read this one. This is one of the ones I'm definitely going to read for Tome Topple. Mistborn, I think, is going to be the other one. I don't know if I'm going to go crazy and do what I always do, which is get like 3-4 books for Tome Topple and only get to like a few of them. So, or like it's only one of them. So, next is... Oh, wait, no, I'm not doing those. Not right now. I bought this at the bookstore because, you know, I do have a bind up, a Barnes & Noble edition, those fancy, the ones that look like a book, like an old book. I have those, but I don't think this one's in that one. So I bought this one at the used bookstore. Classics are like $3. So, well, it actually depends on if it's mass market paperback or if it's like trade paperback or a hardcover. You know, how much it's gonna be cost. That's really how they. But I keep like there's people that talk about like Dickens and other authors. Did I bring the other one? I don't think I did. I didn't bring over Autumn. That's another one that I want to read as well. Autumn by Ali Smith. And I want to get into her, and surprisingly, I got into her because she writes that stream of consciousness style, and I didn't think I liked that. But then maybe it was just Virginia Woolf wasn't my kind of author, my kind of writer. So anyway, I want to read some more of Dickens. I've already read A Tale of Two Cities, which is one of my favorite books, and of course, A Christmas Carol. But Christmas Carol has always kind of been part of my life anyway. I just never read the book. So a couple years ago, I read it, and I really liked it. So I want to read more of Dickens, and I do want to reread A Tale of Two Cities. And I also, this is another one that I bought from the used bookstore. You can tell it's really old because the pages are kind of yellow at the back. And then there's this. These pages come out of it. So I'm trying. So you can tell it's a really old book, but I don't know if there will be. I think I would have to go to Books A Million to buy another copy of it. So I'm just gonna deal with this, live with it. Maybe I'll tape it back together. I don't know, but this is another one of those ones that I started. This is not the best bookmark for this book. My mom got this bookmark for me when the second time they went to Hawaii. So I decided to use it. But it's not, the problem is it doesn't stay, and this part doesn't stay. So I feel like I should use it because my mom got it for me, even though it was probably really cheap, it was a gift, and so damn it. So okay, the book, in case you didn't see, it's Middlemarch, by the way. This book, like I said, I decided to get this book because of Jen from Insert Literary Pun. A lot of the books I recently have bought are because of her and how much she loves them, and I have been trying to expand myself, so I want to read that one. This is one that I already read once before, and I figured, it wouldn't take, maybe, because I've already read it once, it won't take me as long, but it still manages to take me forever. I've read a good chunk, but, I'm not even stopped at a page break, so I need to continue with this one. This should be at number 1 at the top of my list, actually. So, or at least read a little bit more. Like, I was feeling guilty this morning while I was thinking about it. So, before I officially woke up. So, I need to continue that one. Oh, and I keep forgetting to I'm sorry to forget to show you guys. This is one of the latest editions. Obviously not the movie tie-in edition, but I think it's a trade paperback. Or no, it might actually, no, it's a B. I think it's a B paperback, where it's kind of mixed between mass market and trade paperback. Like, it's a little bit nicer than the mass market, but it's not as big and glossy as a trade paperback. So, that should be on the top of my list. But I don't know if it will be. And I finally got Crystal Storm, the 5th book, and luckily there's only one more book left to go. But I need to read Frozen Times, which is the 4th book in the Fallen Kingdom series. I am really loving this series. It is awesome, and I think it's easier to read and to get into than A Song of Ice and Fire, which this is like the YA version of that, or at least that's what people say it is. So, I agree with that, but, so I gotta read this one. I am loving this series and I want to keep going with it, so I gotta read this one, but I don't want it to end either, and I don't have the 6th book yet, and I don't know when the 6th book is gonna come out in paperback. So it might be like with Thrawn ACOTAR, where I have some of the books are in hardback. So because I'm not as particular about that. I just want to have the book. So it doesn't have to be matched. Okay, so next is, I got this one for Christmas. Magicians. I did, now people have said that it's better to read all the books one right after the other, because this is kind of a I think the word I'm looking for is satire on like fantasy, the whole fantasy genre and stuff, and all the cliches and tropes and stuff. So, but I watched the TV show, so I'm thinking, well, maybe it won't bother me, the unlikableness of the characters, because I know they're unlikable. I know they're all douchebags. So, and they all do stupid things, like, my favorite ship fell apart already recently on the show, so, I'm already mentally prepared. I mean, when I read, I'll still get, you're angry with characters and stuff, but I know what to expect. But I want to read this one as well. And it's adult fantasy, so that will be nice. A little different. Not YA. And then this one, I am not sure this is another one, that I am not sure if I would like it, because at first I was not interested in it, but then, I saw it at the bookstore. Again, these books are like $3 or $4. So I went ahead and bought it. And I read the description in the inside flap, and actually I might like it. And it's not that long. It's a short book. It's like, let's see, how many pages is this? It's only like 230, so that's definitely not a tome novel read, but, yeah, I want to read it, though, I didn't think I would be interested in it, because it takes place on death row and everything, so I figured it might be boring, but I'm gonna check it out, and like I said, it's not that long, so I want to read that one this summer. And I also want to I finally need to read this book. I've had it for a while. I got it last Christmas. Another gift for my sister. So I need to read this one like now. But again, I guess in a way I don't want the series to end. But I do know that there is kind of a spin-off book, Opal, but it's an ebook. I need to get a gift card for me to get that one and to read it. So unless she publishes it into book format, but yes, I need to read this. Especially because there's mixed feelings about this book. Some people were a bit disappointed with this one. So I want to read and find out if I'm disappointed too. So next is this one, another one that I started. I get another. I think this was a Jen Campbell recommendation. She wasn't directly telling, me to read it, but I think she was the one who talked about this book. And I imagine Jen from Insert Literary Pun talked about it too. This is the Essex Serpent, about, this woman who, she's a widow now, her husband just died. Oh, that's Declan Pages, by the way. And she decides to go to Scotland with her son, and there's this mythical creature called the Essex Serpent that she hears about when she's in Scotland. So that's all I know. I haven't got very far. I just got to the part when she's leaving to go to Scotland, and apparently there's a guy who's obsessed and in love with her and everything. But I don't think he's the guy that is talked about in the description, because there is talk of a love interest that's that he's so. I want to continue with this one. As you can see, I'm trying to expand my reading horizons a little bit and read some literary fiction as well. Not just genre fiction and historical fiction and fantasy. Well, fantasy is genre, so. Next, I want to read, this is one that was, I think it was a prize winner, it was nominated for a prize. And Jen from Insert Literary Pun was another, this is a book that she recommended, she talked about and loved and did a review on it. She understands why it didn't win, but it was still she still says it was a great book. So, I want to read it as well. And next, this is one that has actually been, a lot of people talk a while back. This book was really popular on BookTube. And it's like a post-apocalyptic world. And these troubadours, there's writing in this one, are traveling and telling the stories of the world and Shakespeare and everything. So, unfortunately, again, another one that can't be read for Tome Doppel, but I do want to read it. And it will definitely be a different kind of read for me. So, that was Station 11, by the way. So, next, this is one I have been wanting to read for a long time, but My Books Million did not have it. They didn't even have the nice hardcover copy. I was a little disappointed, but that will probably be an expensive copy anyway. So, and this was around $17. So it was a little pricey, but I splurged a little bit and got this one. If We Were Villains. I was about to say liars. That was the problem when I first tried to look for the book at Books A Million. I got it mixed up with, I thought I meant If We Were Liars, the YA contemporary book. I don't even know what that one's about, but it has a similar title, so, I've been wanting to read this book for a long time, because it's about, it kind of they compare it to The Secret History, and, it's about a group of theaterkins, and there's a murder, and they do Shakespeare, and it's that's a perfect combo for me. I am a theater nerd. I'm a theater geek. I'm a thespian, always and forever. So anything about that's connected to theater, some of my Are You Afraid of the Dark episode, one of my favorite Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes, and my favorite Disney Channel. One of my favorite Disney Channel movies has to do with the theater. So any books, and if you guys, those of you who are watching my video, if you come across any theater-related, inspired, any books that have to do with theater, and no, I already know about that YA contemporary, the one Foolish Hearts, I think it's called, by, I want to say it's Emma Mills. I already know about that one because I always watch people's unboxings all the time, although lately I haven't been interested in it, but I think it was an Owl Crate exclusive, in the Owl Crate box, and the exclusive cover and everything, so I already know about that one. I don't know if I'll get it. If I see it at the library, because I do want to get back into going to the library again. It's just, I'm trying to get through my personal collection of books, not just library books, because I usually end up reading those first, because I have 2 weeks to read them, and then if I don't finish them, I have to recheck them out. So. But yes, I'm very excited to read this one. I don't know if I'll be able to read. Let me see. Can I read for Tome Doppel? Damn it! Nope. 354 pages. It's not even in the 400 page mark. Damn it. Well, I could still read it around that time. I just can't count it for Tome Topple. So, it really sucks. So next, this I know I can have for Tome Topple, and that is the fourth book in the Tower of Dawn series. The Dark Tower series. I'm getting mixed up with my Sarah J. Maas. This is the fourth book, although I'm told that because it's like a story within a story, you don't have to read this one, because it's really our main protagonist, Roland, telling his companions this story. But I feel like because it's part of the series, I need to read it, so I'm going to read this one as well. This is, like I said, this is the fourth book. And I almost am tempted to reread the first three books, but that's going to take me a while, and I really need to get to this one, so eventually I'll reread the whole series, when I'm done. I still gotta get the fifth book. I have the fifth book in a different edition, but like I said, I don't care about that. I mean, it is weird when they're different sizes, but I'm not gonna be nitpicking. I bought it. I'm not gonna go through all the trouble buying another copy of the other copies of the first three books, because I mean, the edition that the fifth book is in is, I imagine, it's gonna be really expensive to buy the other three. It's gonna take me a while to buy them, so I'm gonna stick with what I got, even if it's different sizes. So I want to read this one as well. I think this might need to be a Tome Topple read as well. Okay, next is another book that I probably should consider reading for Tome Topple, and that is the third book in the Outlander series. I love the series. I know it has problems. I know it's not perfect, and there are questionable morals in the book series, but you know what? I'm still enjoying it. And as long as I know that, as long as they don't approve of the behavior, I mean, I think when you're reading a book like this, even if it has problematic elements, we're all adults. You know, we know what's right and wrong. I mean, unless you are just really uncomfortable with it, you know, that's the only reason you shouldn't read a problematic book, because if you're just uncomfortable with it. But I personally don't feel the need of dismissing a book unless, like I said, unless you're uncomfortable with it and don't approve of it. I mean, you know better. You know what's wrong. I mean, I guess some people are looking as you're promoting this person to write more books with these problematic things in it. But just acknowledge, I acknowledge the problematic elements. Just as I acknowledge the problematic elements of Sarah J. Maas. But I think it's going to take a long time before authors stop writing these problematic aspects. Besides, it'll be like, if you had a perfect book, then it would be boring. I mean, I still am enjoying this, and all that's all that matters, so. I need to read the third book, and I think this is the book, I think that it's the second one, Dragonflight and Amber, that takes place in France. This book is the one that the last season just, I think, what goes on in this book, that season just happened, I believe. I think that season ended. So that plot line, I think, already ended, I think. So, as you can see, I've not watched the series. I started to, but then when we were thinking about moving and coming here, I didn't know if we would have stars. And I think we do have stars, but I figured there'd be no point in getting to it right now. Maybe one day I'll buy it, but right now I'll just stick with the books, and I can still picture the actors from the show in the books. So, but one day I will probably want to get this. I would probably want to get it. Like, maybe if I ever get, if I ever have a significant other, maybe I can persuade him to get it for me. But anyway, so I gotta read the third book. Next is one that I have been trying to get. I have been thinking about getting this author for a while. I bought 2 of his books so far. That's Robert Hicks, and he writes books about the Civil War era. And one of his books is called The Widow of the South, which I also have. I have that one hardback, actually. It's like centered around the woman whose husband died in the war. And then this one is about this man, this general. He did a lot of questionable things in the war, and he's just trying to find a wife who will accept him for that, despite his past. And I think it's based on a true story, actually. So I want to read this one. And I also want to, at some point, read The Widow of the South as well. I almost read it back in, I want to say, it was either April or March, whichever month is Women's Month. I almost read it then. Widow of the South. Next one is The Shadow of the Wind. And again, this is another book that was really popular on BookTube for a while. And I heard a lot about it, so I finally got around to it because I saw it at the used bookstore. I was like, oh, this one is talked about quite a bit on BookTube, so I'm going to check it out. And like I said, it's not a big deal because the prices are like between $1 and $5. You know, the most expensive book being like $5. So that's not that much. And Stephen King blurbed it, which is cool. So I want to read this one. And actually, I think I could technically read it because even though it's not 500 pages, Sam from Thoughts on Tomes did say if it's close to 500 pages, then no, I can't read The Female Persuasion for Tome Top because I think it's only like 454 pages. And like I said, she kind of said you're missing the point with, you know, if you're reading a book that's not as big as like 475. But then she also said she's not going to be policing us, and she's, you know, so I might still cheat and read it anyway. But anyway, but I want to read The Shadow of the Wind, which is, I think, in Spain. I think it's kind of has a bit of a Spanish, you know, so it will definitely be a diverse read. So I want to read that one at some point as well. Okay, next I need to continue with East of Eden. It is a modern classic. I'm not gonna say what I usually say. You know how I want to get into Steinbeck. So I've already read a lot of this book. Let me see, how many pages is this one supposed to be? Oh, yep, it's 500. It's like close to 600. So this one counts as well. So I need to continue with this book. I need to read it. So again, another East of Eden. Next is another classic. This one scares me. Look at this big chunker. It scares me. It makes me nervous, but I do want to read it. I remember loving the movie. That's Count of Monte Cristo, by the way. And I hear a lot of good things about it. It's just, you know, it's one of those books that's just hard to get into, I feel like. It's funny, it has my old address label on this book. So, yeah, I definitely want to read this book at some point. I just don't know when. Maybe I could read it for Tome Top, as you saw. It's a pretty big book. Okay, there's The Female Persuasion, which is a book that Jen from Insert Literary Pun talked about. She did a review, and I hope if Jen ever watches any more of my videos, I hope I don't scare her with how much I talk about her, but I really admire her as a booktuber, and I love listening to her reviews, and I love how eloquent she speaks. Her and Olive from my book, Olive. So I always take her recommendations to heart, and I hope I do like her books, the books that she recommends, because I would really feel bad, and I'm sure she would too, if she, you know, knowing what I'm saying about her as a booktuber, but I'm not that hard to please anyway, so I don't think we have to ever worry about that. So, this one I actually got off of Amazon. My mom bought it for me, because I saw it at the bookstore for $28. I was like, yeah, I can't get that. I'm not going to spend and waste $28, especially when I wanted to buy 4 other books. So I went on Amazon right as soon as I got home, and it was a Prime product, meaning because we have Prime, shipping is free. So I got it, and I hope I can publish this video because it's getting really, really long, longer than the first half. So this is a kind of a feminist, you know, about feminism, and this young college student becomes infatuated, not in a romantic way, by this woman who's kind of a feminist, and it's about her experience with this woman, which is a really brief and crappy description, because, I mean, Jen did a really thorough. Okay, so next is, okay, this is the one I just randomly grabbed, and that is the Little Paris Bookshop. Grabbed off my bookshelf, and I've been wanting to read this for a while. And again, another one that I saw at the bookstore. I mean, I love France, and it's about a bookshop, so what's not to love? So I want to read this one as well this summer, but like I said, I probably won't get to all these. And then I need to continue with this one, I Capture the Castle, which is another classic I've heard a lot about, and I want to read it. So, I did start it already, so, but I'm not going to waste time giving you a description because this is already a long video as it is, so. I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith. And then next, as I said earlier in this video, I love The Secret History, so I want to read her other book, which is The Goldfinch. Donna Tartt is what I'm talking about. And this is a big chunker, and I could read this for Tome Topple as well, because it's over 700 pages long, so I want to read this one as well. Okay, next. Okay, I'm not going to waste time looking through that. I'm already wasting time. I don't even know if this book is going to be published, or this video is going to be published. This next one is, it wasn't actually BookTube that got me to wanting to check this book out. It was actually trivia night at where I work. One of the questions was, the answer was this book, and my dad was giving me a hard time about it because we didn't, as usual, we lost trivia night. We didn't even place, I don't think, at the time. And I saw this at the bookstore because if it's a book, if it's a piece of literature, then I'm gonna, I might consider getting it. And it's a classic, so I've been trying to read more classics. So I ended up buying this one, and I want to read it. And again, as you can see, I read a little bit. I'm almost done with this chapter. I really should read this chapter, finish up this chapter. But, yeah, this is very interesting. I want to read that one. Crime and Punishment, in case you didn't know. Okay, so next, the last three are, we have Night Film. Again, another book I started. This is about this journalist that just lost his job because he was trying to expose this famous filmmaker who makes very dark films, and like his daughter supposedly committed suicide. So this journalist was investigating it, and he blames her father for it, and then the guy, so the guy ends up the filmmaker ends up getting him fired, the journalist fired. So now he is becoming obsessed with this case. So Night Film by Marisha Pessl, and I know she has a new book that just came out. And then the last two are A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith, a classic, which I did not know was a classic when I first got it. This was from our friends, the doctor who mentioned a couple times in my videos. He reads a lot as well, so there's that one, and then there is this one, the final book, and this is Labyrinth, which is kind of has to do, I think this has to do with the Holy Grail, and it goes back and forth between the past and the present, and there's like a labyrinth you have to go through to find the Holy Grail or something, so I'm going to go ahead. I want to read this one as well, and let me check. Is this a... Seriously? Wait, okay, so... Oh, okay, good. So it's kind of close, but it's just at the 500-page mark, so I can read this one. This one will count for a tome, so... I still have to figure out which ones I'm going to read for Tome Topple, but that is all the books I want to read for the summer. Yes, that's a lot of books, but I have no self-control when it comes to my books, and I probably won't get to these, so those are all. So are there any particular books that you guys want to get to? feel free to share them with me in the comment section below. And please be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. I really hope you did. And if you're passing through, please click subscribe if you haven't already and you like this video. And I much love to my already subscribed people, and I hope you are enjoying your current read. I will talk to you guys later. I hope I can upload this video. Bye.